I really want to play as Cheered and run across the field blindly. I am one with the Force. The local 7-Eleven had Double Dragon, and I remember waking up early in the morning. It was like minus 25 degrees out. You've got this grappling hook and you shoot it up there and you get to scale these beasts. Wow, this game totally blew me away. And mounts, it has mounts. This week, Japan was scheduled to get a new shipment of PSVRs, so hundreds of people lined up for a chance to win a raffle, and if they won the raffle, they got the opportunity to purchase a PSVR. Yes, you heard that right. They lined up for a chance to win a raffle, and if they won that raffle, they then got to purchase a PSVR. So what I find interesting about this story is that Sony isn't talking about the number of units sold with PlayStation VR. So by all guesses, you'd think that would mean that it was underperforming, but yet you still can't find it in any stores in many areas. Speaking of PSVR, this week on January 24th, Resident Evil Biohazard was released, and according to the official website, 93,926 players have played Resident Evil on PlayStation VR, and that equals 9.42%. I was personally shocked by this number. That's nearly 10% of all Resident Evil 7 players have played it on PSVR. So if you think about these numbers a little closer, that means even if 93,926 of those players bought Resident Evil strictly for the PSVR component, that would still mean that a high-quality AAA game has only sold about 100,000 units based on PSVR. So what does this tell us about the future of VR? It tells me that probably for at least the foreseeable future, we're not going to get any big, huge AAA titles that are solely built for PlayStation VR. We'll probably still continue to see them doing kind of the same thing that they're doing, releasing a PSVR component along with big AAA titles or smaller titles. This is because in order to find a big AAA game solely for PSVR, it would be very difficult for it to be profitable, only selling about 100K units in the first week. So I think things are going to continue to be released the same way they are for at least the foreseeable future. Electronic Arts held an earnings call earlier this week, and there was quite a bit of news that came out of that. The big one for me is that Star Wars Battlefront is going to be released in holiday 2017. So this time there's going to be a single-player campaign, yes! And there's going to be more characters and more heroes, they stated, and also they stated that it's going to take place across more eras. So let's just hope they avoid the prequel eras, at least no pod racing anyways. So I'm really excited for this one. I really hope it contains more from the new movies like Rogue One. I really want to play as Cheered and run across the field blindly. I am one with the Force is with me. I am one with the Force is with me. They also announced that BioWare is going to be releasing a new game before March 2018, and it's going to be an all-new IP, and it'll feature, and I quote, "a clean sheet design with new concepts, new gameplay mechanics, and new stories set in a unique new universe. This game has the potential to fundamentally disrupt the way people think about an action title, bringing friends together to play in exhilarating new ways. We're very excited about the future of this new franchise and its ability to attract a large global audience." So I am really excited about this one. I have no idea what it could be, but I'm sure at this year's E3 we're going to hear a lot more about it. And lastly, they stated that they are not currently working on Skate 4. And this is really strange because earlier in the week, the EA community manager tweeted out hashtag Skate 4. So I don't know if he was trolling or if EA is not being completely honest because they got a reveal coming or what's the case. But according to the official statement is they're not currently working on Skate 4. Big news for Elder Scrolls Online fans. This week, Bethesda announced that they're going to be releasing a new expansion for the game called Elder Scrolls Online Morrowind, and it's going to be released on June 6th of this year. Players are going to be sent on a big quest to save Morrowind from, I guess, a falling meteor that's going to be hitting Vivec City. It's also going to have a new class called the Warden, and you're going to have a little bear companion, believe called the War Bear, and it's going to fight along your side. So that sounds pretty cool. And also for the PvPers, there's going to be a 4v4v4 arena added to the game. I don't know, that all sounds pretty awesome to me. I tried this game when it was initially released on the PS4, and it just didn't quite click for me, but I'm a big MMO player. I love MMOs, so I think when this comes out, I'll probably give this a try. And if you missed the For Honor closed beta this past weekend, I got good news for you. There's going to be a For Honor open beta on February 9th to the 12th. I'll be talking more about my experience in the closed beta later on in the show. And the PlayStation Plus games have been announced for February, and we're getting Little Big Planet 3. My kids are going to absolutely love that game. We're getting another game for the PlayStation 4 called Not a Hero. We're getting a game called Star Wall for the PS3, which is also cross-buy with the PS4, and another game called Anna for the PS3. For the PS Vita, we're getting Ninja Sankey DX, and that's also cross-buy with the PS4, and a game called Torkoal, which is also cross-buy with the PS4. So the inclusion of Little Big Planet 3 in February's lineup, I believe, makes this a very strong lineup. My kids are going to absolutely love that game. I'm going to play along with them as well. So that's a pretty big AAA title. So thanks, Sony. And we'll close out this segment with some Final Fantasy key art that was released this week. Enjoy.
Ooh, look at that.
This week marked the release of a game I can't wait to get my hands on called Double Dragon 4 for the PS4. And they're modeling it in full 8-bit glory after the original. The originals were made by a company called Technos, who was owned by Arc System Works, and they got their license back, and there's several of the same people working on it. They've got the original producer, director, character designer, and music composer. The characters in the original were awesome, so I'm pretty excited that they got the original character designer for this one. It has a new 2v2 mode, and you unlock characters for it by playing through the original story mode. It's also got a new tower mode where you fight big waves of enemies and slowly progress up the levels of the tower and unlock new characters which are stronger that help you get further up in the tower. This game sounds awesome, and it also has share play, so if you have it and your friend doesn't have it, you can hit the share button and you can share it with them for up to an hour and play together. When I was a kid growing up in small town Saskatchewan, Canada, the local 7-Eleven had Double Dragon, and I remember waking up early in the morning. It was like minus 25 degrees out and blizzarding, and I remember putting on my big snowsuit and trekking out all the way up to 7-Eleven in the freezing cold, and we'd get there and there'd be like a big pile of snowsuits in the back of the store where everyone had taken off their snowsuits to play. I thought it was pretty hard at the time, and I remember being so stoked when someone would get past the new level. Good times. I really hope the new one is as good as I remember the originals. Indies is a revolving segment of the show where I highlight the latest developments in the indie world and hopefully draw your attention to some indie games that maybe you haven't seen before. This week I'd like to draw your attention to a game that's supposed to release here in 2017 called Death's Gambit, and it's made by a company called White Rabbit. It's a 2D action RPG, and the world and the art style look absolutely amazing. It kind of reminds me of kind of like a Ghosts and Goblins type medieval, scary, spooky style. It has different landscapes like medieval towns, forests, and my all-time favorite, snow levels. It has a non-linear open world, and each area is gated by these huge bosses. Kind of reminds me of Shadow of Colossus. And you've got this grappling hook, and you shoot it up there, and you get to scale these beasts and get on their shoulders and slice at them. Supposedly each boss has its own unique moves, and you got to figure out their strategy in order to get them down. And all the bosses are immortal, so they come back after you kill them, and you can fight them again if you wish and get new loot. Oh, and there's also this cool online feature that when you first get to a boss, it shows the average deaths, and that tells you how much the average players have died before defeating the boss. And if you beat that number, you get better rewards. And mounts. It has mounts. If that sounds interesting to you, they actually stream it every Saturday, so check it out. This week I picked up Yakuza 0 on a whim, and wow, this game totally blew me away. I had never played a Yakuza before, so I really didn't know what to expect. The story has me absolutely hooked, but like I said, I haven't played a Yakuza before, so it could be cliche by now, I'm not too sure. But for me it's amazing, and it has me just intrigued as to what's going to happen, and it's moving along at just the perfect pace. The combat reminds me of like old 2D beat-em-ups crossed with Mortal Kombat, where everything slows down when you make a big hit, bam, and it slows right down and big graphic effect. I find you can play it as a button masher if you want, but it also has some hidden complexity, like it has stances, and if you got to get the timing just right to get these big finishing moves. And I'm currently playing it on normal, and I find the difficulty is bang on for my skill level. I'm not getting too frustrated. I'm progressing at a proper pace, but I don't find it too easy. I'm getting to bosses and I'm gonna have to try several times to get them down. And it's kind of like a serious storyline, but yet the game doesn't take itself too seriously, so there's these funny story moments that are quite hilarious serious when it acknowledges that it's being overly serious. I've heard several complaints about the graphics looking kind of like a PS2 game or a PS3 game, but personally I don't see this at all. I find maybe the character models are a little stiff. They don't seem to be done with like motion capture or anything like that, but again, they kind of remind me of like an old 2D beat 'em up style of character models. And but the graphics, I mean, it has really high resolution textures. The water looks fantastic. The cutscenes look amazing. I find the voice acting fantastic, and the music is like this 80s Japanese metal rock. I just love it. So are Yakuza's always this good, or is this Yakuza just hitting its stride? Because, like I said, I've never played one before, but man, this game is amazing. Aside from that, I've been playing the For Honor closed beta this past weekend, and this game is a very pretty game. It seems very mechanically sound. They've kind of implemented this really neat swordplay into it, where you got to kind of change your position from top, left, or right, based on what your opponent's doing, and once you get the hang of that, it seems quite neat. It looks like it's going to be a heavily multiplayer-focused game, and the highest player count is 4v4. And unfortunately, that's just a little bit too small for me because I suck at these multiplayer games and always feel like I'm bringing down my team and then I just don't have fun playing it. So, but if you're into 4v4 and that kind of thing, or 2v2, it could be a great game for you, especially if you like the complexities involved with the swordplay and whatnot. So if that sounds like your thing, check it out. Bag of Mail is the portion of the show where the viewers write in and ask a question to me. Since this is our first episode, I asked one of my friends, Dave, to write in with a question. Dave writes, Dear Derek, with Sony offering next to no first-party support for the PS Vita, do you feel the Nintendo Switch might be the final nail in the coffin, or do you feel it might actually benefit the Vita by bringing handhelds back into the forefront? Well, thanks, Dave, for your question, and the answer is, well, no, I don't think the Vita is even close to being dead. Sony has pretty much dropped all first-party support for it just because it wasn't making them any money. But there's fantastic indies coming out for that system all the time, and there's many coming out in 2017, including Danganronpa 3, Tokyo Xanadu, Sultan Sanctuary, Valkyria Revolution, Toukiden 2. And no, I don't think the Nintendo Switch is going to have much of an impact on the Vita at all, unless it sells like insane amounts of units. Then maybe Sony will look at making a Vita 2 in a few years from now. But for the time being, I think it's just going to be on cruise control the way it is. No first-party titles, a lot of indies coming out for the system. I do think if Sony was smart, they would re-release a new version of the Vita with no cameras on the front and back and get rid of the touchscreen on the back and add in new shoulder buttons. It would bring the cost down by removing those features for both the consumer and for Sony to produce, and that's really what people are looking for. Also, if they could get rid of the proprietary memory and just put in your standard memory, it would really make it a lot cheaper for the consumer, and I think it would sell a lot more units. So thanks, Dave, for your question. And if you would like to ask a question and have it read on the show, you can go ahead and email that to Derek@ExclusivelyPS.com, and I'll be glad to answer it for you. And that's it for this week. I'll be back next Friday with a new episode. In the meantime, send those questions in to Derek@ExclusivelyPS.com, and I'll be glad to answer them for you. Follow me on Twitter at FollowTheFowl, and that's fowl as in bird. Friend me on the PSN at PrairieMcChicken. I'm Derek Deschamps. Please subscribe. Thanks for watching. Cheers. Discuss what I'm playing and also discuss the future of what's, I can't say, earnings call. I don't know, that all sounds pretty awesome to me. I tried this game when it